Today, we will talk about how to and how not to do a pricing increase, and we can learn a lot from Figma's latest hike. So, at Irrational Labs, we work with companies to rethink their pricing page design, do willingness to pay studies, and advise on these pricing changes. And Figma has given us a really nice case study to learn from. So, first, we'll talk about what they did well and what you can learn from, and then we will go into what can be improved and how you could avoid this mistake yourself. Okay, so the first thing that they've done well is transparency, and they've done transparency well in a few ways. So they gave people advance notice. So this changes, I get this email in December, the change is happening in March. This is around 3 months, and it comes at a pivotal time at the end of the year, quarterly budgeting, decision making, and at another quarterly milestone. So they are thoughtfully communicating this with giving people enough time to look for alternatives. The second is by showing the old and the new price transparently. So here it is. So you're going to get paid, you're going to get charged $16 a month, and it was previously $12 to $15. You're going to get charged $55, it was previously $45 a month. Now, you may say, Kristen, that's so obvious. Of course, people do this. It is not obvious. So I'm going to show you two examples of what was infuriating, which is QuickBooks basically raised their prices this year, and they said, hey, look, and they hide this. Over the last year, we made improvements, save more time, get things done, blah, 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 personalized insights, like nothing that tangible. But they're saying, look, the new price is $65. And I'm like, what was I paying? And when you click through and try to figure that out, and you can click through here and try to figure this out, it's basically saying all the cool things that happened, not what I was paying. And so when you then go hunt for it, and by the way, when people are not told this, they feel like, how much am I getting screwed? And so my anger level goes up as I'm trying to find the anchor price. And it's really hard to find. And even this I don't trust, because it says it's 45 and then it was up 5, but mine is 65. And so I'm kind of scratching my head, literally being like, what is going on here? And all the while getting my kind of unfairness, anger heightened. But they're probably not as bad as Qualtrics. So Qualtrics basically sent me an email that said, hey, look, news, we're changing the name something. We've attached the invoice, and let us know if you want to renew. And I'm like, can you summarize this increase for me? The invoice is just an invoice. It doesn't tell me the anchor. And over the course of 5 emails with this person, where one, they send me an irrelevant blog post that just says, we have new pricing. No context as to what it is. Oh my gosh. I finally found out that it's actually just a normal 5% increase. Okay, I'm okay with that. Why don't we just say that up front, Qualtrics, instead of hide it? And so this idea of price transparency is actually, one, really important, and two, missed by many companies. The third thing they do to do the price transparency is actually give you a lot of FAQs. So when you click this learn more, they give you a video walking you through everything that will happen with this price increase. And then again, they show you the pre and the post. This kind of reminds me of, kids, where you're like, if you say in 5 minutes, we're going to do something, in 2 minutes, we're going to do something, like they are more likely to be okay when you do it. Humans are the same way. Like, if you're just like, we're doing a price increase immediately and we're not going to tell you any details, you're going to be like, oh, you're going to be anxious about this whole thing. And so with Figma, they're treating us a little bit like toddlers, but thank you, and giving us a lot of information and details about how this actually works. You could, if you're looking at this, be like, what's the percentage increase? They're not being transparent about that. And when you think about it, I'm okay with that. So I actually don't think they probably should have. So the percentage increase is really reasonable when we're talking about the professional tier. It's around 6 to 10%. With the organizational and the enterprise, it's a lot higher. It's 20 to 29% if you're going up, the $10 and the $15, which will sound offensive, right? But for an organization of these sizes, let's say you have 250 designers, you're a large tech company, and each one is charged $15 more, the price will go up. It's going to be about $45K more per year. That's a lot, but it's so small relative to all the other things that they pay for. And the number 20% will get people angry, but the actual amount is probably pretty feasible for them to take on as a price hike. And so I like the call out not to, or like their decision not to add percentages. I think for Qualtrics, because it's such a low percentage, go for it, do it, brag about it. It's only a 5% increase. Okay, and the final thing that I think they do pretty well is the framing of this more functionality. Somehow they did this in a way that doesn't make me think, oh, I'm now paying this price increase for Figma slides that already exist and I decided not to use it and now I have to pay for it. Instead, I'm like, oh, I get Figma slides and FigJam for free with this new pricing. And so they've done it more like a bonus, like this is more functionality for you without making me feel like they've snuck it into a large bundle that I now have to pay for. Okay, so those are the things that they do well. I think there's a few things that could be improved here, but like props, they've done actually a fair bit very well. And people really like the product. And this idea of a price increase could actually decrease kind of the NPS for Figma. But I think the way they've communicated it hasn't really driven this deep sense of unfairness that can come with a pricing increase. Except the thing that they could improve is how they're framing the overall gain versus loss. So right now they're leading with this is a price increase, which is nice for transparency, but kind of misses the narrative. Like they say, yes, we've done a lot of features and stuff, but let's talk about that more. So when you're in this learn more page, and I'm just going to play the video real quick.
Hi, I'm Tom from Figma. We wanted to share some updates that are coming to Figma next year. On March 11th, 2025, we'll be introducing updates to our seats and billing experience.
Great. So he's basically leading with, we have a price increase, not we have delivered consistently these 10 features that have gotten really well received and you all are using. And so highlighting the gain versus the loss first could be very interesting and probably very compelling, especially when you're somebody who has already a good NPS. The second thing is potentially the opportunity would have been to pair the price increase with the big feature launches. We're adding Figma design is wonderful. We're adding AI and slides to it. It's not, at this point, slides exist and you don't want to be forced to use it if you already didn't decide. But in the beginning, you could have said, hey, we're making these big improvements and we're going to be increasing our pricing for that. Again, this drives that feeling of fairness that people actually are looking for of like, why is this price increasing? And so from a kind of framing perspective, gain versus loss is very important. And then finally was an opportunity for them to think about their pricing, potentially add another tier. It is a big jump from $16 a month to $55 a month. You really have to want that second tier. And many people do, especially if there's security features or there's more organizational, like shared libraries like Figma has. It's going to be almost required. But many companies have gone to 4 tiers so that the jump actually feels less stark when you're moving up tiers. And then the final thing that they could consider, and this may be rude for them to publicly say it, but they're still cheaper than Adobe and they're better. People like them more. And so Adobe is this $59 a month, which is just like a lot for for some of these products. They're also cheaper than Salesforce. Now you could reasonably say, of course, Kristen, because like sales is direct line to revenue and these are designers. And so you should be paying less for designers to have their tools than our sales team. But there are tools out there that are more expensive than Figma is and still baked into all of the workflows. Now, for small businesses, I'm very okay with this price increase because Figma is a very good tool. It is part of the workflows for the company at a very deep level. And it's going to feel expensive for these small businesses. If you look at kind of other pricing things, you've got Asana's at 10 and 25, the same as Dropbox 15 and 25. So many of our business tools, these jumps to like 50 a month is actually more than the kind of vendor procurement people are used to paying. By the way, I looked at Canva and I was like, oh my God, Canva is so expensive. But they're actually defaulting me. I don't know why. They're defaulting me onto the yearly one and it's $120 per year. I was like, wow, that's a lot. And I was expecting it to be $100 per month, but actually monthly, much less. You can even imagine if you were to say 50 cents per day, mind blown, let's just get Canva, totally worth it. So framing things in small numbers for pricing is actually important. I'm confused at why Canva leads with the $120. It actually may feel cheap at some level, but at first glance, I want to bounce. These are, we'll go back to this main communication. So the internet is talking. Some people are very upset at Figma for these pricing increases because look, these are freelancers who are trying to make their living, and price increases like this can be tough. I'm okay with it. I think most companies should be doing more willingness to pay work, more pricing page redesign, and really focused on delivering a really good product that people love and will pay for, and then using that, getting into the enterprise and the organization to drive your revenue and keeping the prices low for these professional folks who may be the freelancers out there. For more, maybe call out to the Substack if you haven't yet. Please subscribe on Substack to the Substack to get more of these teardowns.